Hello, in this video, you'll be learning how you can easily edit a photo when it comes to Photoshop in the shortest time possible. And in this video, you're simply going to learn how to do skin retouching, color grading, and get the best kinds of colors when it comes to your photos in Photoshop in the shortest time possible. So in case you want to download this raw image, follow along with this tutorial, simply check the link in the description of this video to download the raw image. And by the way, you can purchase or buy my courses and actions by using the link also in the description to visit my digital store. So in order to import the image in Photoshop, right click and come to or select edit in open with Photoshop, and the image is going to be opened automatically in the camera raw filter. So in this, we just want to correct the lighting and contrast issues. So for this, I feel like I'll take the highlights down and the whites down to recover information within the skin tones of the subject. Then I'll simply come and open up the shadows of this very image and add some contrast and open up the exposure of this very image and take the blacks down to bring back or recover information in the dark areas. So after that, I'll simply come and click on open in order to open the image or to open the photo in Photoshop. So in Photoshop, the very first thing I tend to do is cropping the image. So I'll just come and get the crop tool and choose a ratio of 45 or 8 by 10 and crop in the image. So I'll just drag that up until when I feel like the eyes are on this line, I'll hit enter or return in order to approve the crop settings. So after I've cropped the image, the next thing is going to be working on the image or working on the skin of our subject. So in order to work on the skin of the subject, we are going to be using frequency separation. And as you know, frequency separation divides the image into the colors and the texture. So just come to the background layer right here and press Ctrl J, or you can press Command J twice. Then double click to name this to color and double click on the name right here to name it to texture. So after that, come to the color layer and select it and turn off or hide the texture layer. Then you're going to come to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And the point for this is we just want to blur away the textures from the model's skin. So look for an area that has prominent textures in the image and start taking up the radius slider and stop at the point whereby the details or the textures on the skin are just starting to disappear from the model's face or from the model's skin. So you're just going to be using around 6. That is when the details are just starting to disappear from the model's skin. Click OK, select the texture layer, activate it, then come to image, apply image. So when you come to apply image, it is going to bring back this apply image dialog box. The source is the name of the photo that you're editing. So under layer, come and select the color layer. Blending has to be added because you're editing a 16-bit image. The scale is 2, offset 0, and turn on the invert option, and you'll see the textures on the square-like kind of layer. In case you have 8 right here, it means your image is going to be 8-bit, and these are the settings that you have to use. So under blending, select subtract. The scale is 2, offset 128. Make sure invert is not turned on, and you'll have basically the same results. So mine is 16-bit. So I revert the settings to 16-bit. Scale is to offset 0, and I invert. Click OK. Change this from normal to linear light. Then select both layers. Then press Ctrl G, or can use Command G on the keyboard. Open up the group by clicking on the drop down icon and select the color layer. So for this step, we just want to smoothen the skin and blend the uneven skin tone transitions on the model's face. So turn off the texture layer and simply come right click under the brushes, get the Mr. Brush tool. And after that, make sure clean brush is selected, and the second option that says clean brush after each stroke is selected. With the weight of 9%, load 75, mix 90, flat 100%. Make sure sample all layers is not checked. So in case you want to work with the texture layer turned on, you can work with it turned on, but make sure that sample all layers is not turned on. So for my case, I prefer to work without having any distractions from the textures in the image. That is why I turn off the texture layer so that I can blend the transitions between the skin tones alone or the skin colors. So after that, you can increase or reduce on the size of the Mr. Brush tool by using the open and close bracket keys or the open and close square bracket keys on the keyboard. So how to blend? You are slightly going to zoom in by using Command plus on the keyboard and reduce on the size of the brush depending on the colors in the area that you want to work on. So how to blend? You left click and hold down and you drag the brush, and after mixing or blending a given color, you release the left click button and left click once again on a new color to blend. And where these colors are transitioning from one color to another, you get a very small brush and blend that given area. And by the way, as you're doing all this, make sure that you don't zoom all the way in, because when you zoom all the way in, you can't see the uneven skin tone transitions in the image, and you can't identify where to blend and where not to blend regarding the uneven skin tone transitions in the model's skin or skin tone. So I'm just going to blend like that. And when it comes to the cheek area, it is moving in this direction, so you also have to follow this very direction. And by the way, in case your mixer brush tool is showing a plus icon, simply deactivate or press the caps lock key on the keyboard, and that is going to make you get the default size of the circular icon for the brush tool as you're seeing in this very video. So I'll just come and try to blend just like that, and you can see I'm using a very small brush just like that. So I'm following the way the skin is flowing on the model's or subject's skin in this case. So I'll blend like that, like that. I hope you can see. So reduce on the size in case you want to blend on a small area, and can blend. So for a very, very tiny area, slightly zoom in by using Command plus, and after that you can now come and blend. So you can see nose area is moving in this kind of up and down kind of direction. That is how I have to also move the brush so that I can maintain the original shape of the model's face or body structures. Remember, we don't want to distort her originality or take away her original personality from her. So come to the highlight and mix the highlight just like that. You can see I'm following, you see the nose area, and for this area above the eyebrows, I'm also moving the brush and following that kind of direction. So it's as simple as this when it comes to using the mixer brush tool to blend the transitions. And as you can see, the skin looks very smooth, but we are lacking textures. But the reason as to why we are lacking textures is because we deactivated or we turned off the texture or high frequency layer. So I'm just going to be showing you the results after this very process, because the textures are also still left intact and not tampered with regarding this very image or this very photo. You can see hand is moving in this direction. So I'll also move the brush or paint in this kind of direction. So you left click and hold down and you drag the brush in a given direction. So like I said, you can as well work with this high frequency layer or texture layer turned on in case you trust or you really have trust in your site. So I'll just turn it on briefly, just like that, to see where I haven't worked on regarding this very image or regarding this very photo. You can see before, after, before, after. So I'll just use a very small brush and blend right here on the nose area. So after I've used the mixer brush tool, it is time to use the second technique, that is using the lasso tool to fine tune the areas that I may have missed out when I was trying to blend using the mixer brush tool. So I'll get the lasso tool, make sure new selection mode is activated, the feathering is 20 pixels and anti-alias is selected. And this time around I will zoom in because I want to make a precise selection. So I'll just make sure that I make a selection depending on the shape of an area. Keep away from the hair or the eyebrows or the edges of your image. Just come back to filter after making the selection. Gaussian blur. It is going to bring back the initial radius for the Gaussian blur that we applied for this very image. So multiply that radius by 3. So 6 by 3. I'll type in 18, just like that, and I'll click OK. So I'll just come to this other area of the face, just like that. Draw that shape. Come back to Gaussian blur. In case the effect is too much, right click on the selection and come to fade Gaussian blur, and you can reduce on the effect or the opacity of an effect in that given area. So that is how you can easily use this. So I only use this for only the face because it is only the face that usually has these prominent textures, and using this technique on other areas that have less textures is going to make them look very plastic and unnatural. So you can see I'll just apply it right there, between the eyebrows, just like that. Click OK. So I've applied the second technique, and you can see before and after, before, after. So after working on the skin tones, it is time to remove the pimples or blemishes. So just come to the texture layer, activate it or select it, and simply come, right click and get, or press S on the keyboard to get the clone stamp tool. And for setting the hardness set to 0, the mode is normal, opacity in the flat 100%, align this check, and make sure the sample is set to current layer, because we want to remove blemishes that are part of the currently selected layer in this very image, which is the texture layer. So zoom in, zoom all the way in, because right now you want to see or identify the textures or the pimples or blemishes. So to remove a given pimple or blemish, hold down the Option key on the keyboard for mark, then for Windows is the Alternate key on the keyboard, Option and left click on a clean area near that pimple, and release the Option key on the keyboard and left click once again to replace the pimple with clean skin. So Option and left click and release the Option key on the keyboard and left click once again to replace the pimple or the blemish with clean skin. So it is as simple as this when it comes to removing blemishes. So you have to keep on sampling on different areas of your model's skin, just like that, and you can see it gets the job done and doesn't leave any marks from the areas where the blemishes were removed. So I'll remove all these skin imperfections or blemishes just like that. So you can see how simple editing is when it comes to Photoshop, and this tutorial is going to be very nice and precise and simple to understand when it comes to beginners out there. So I'll do this for majority of these skin imperfections or the blemishes of our model or our subject. So keep on one finger on the alternate button, because you always have to sample from different areas. Remember, these pimples or blemishes are located in different areas. So I'll just come to the forehead area just like this and sample and try to remove even this lace just like that. So I feel like that is okay. Control or Command minus to zoom out. So I'll simply close the overall group before, after, before, after. So after closing the overall group, I'll create a stamp visible layer. And how to create a stamp visible layer: press Shift Option Command E on the keyboard for mark. Then for Windows is Shift Alternate Control E on the keyboard. So after that, I'll simply first of all come to the patch tool and I try fixing this area of her wig just like that. So I'll just draw around that area like that and drag this down to replace that area with a slightly better looking skin tone just like that. So you draw around it and drag it to a slightly cleaner area just like that. Remove that kind of line before, after. So we have gotten rid of that line. So it is time to work on the skin tones and create even skin tone for our subject. So come and create a new empty layer, then change the blend mode from normal to color. And after changing it to color, come back to the subject layer or this layer that we created, the stamp visible layer. Come to select and come to subject. So Photoshop can select the subject automatically for us. And right now that the subject has been selected, it is time to work on the skin tone. So just come back to the empty layer that we created, right click under the brushes, get the normal brush tool, and for the settings make sure it is a soft round brush and make sure the mode is set to normal, opacity in the flat 100%. And after doing that, we're just going to sample a color on the model skin. So which color do we want the model skin to look like in this case? So I'll just zoom in by using Control or Command plus on the keyboard. Control plus, or you can use Command plus. So I'll sample a color on the skin. So Option, and I'll sample that dark color. Option and left click to sample a dark color. And I feel like that is not okay. So I'll go with a slightly warmer color. So Option and sample a slightly warm color. So I'll look for a suitable spot for sampling that warm color. So sample and paint. So I've sampled from the hand. I feel like that is okay. So I'll start painting on the skin. So make sure you paint on each and every area that contains skin tones in the image, just like that. So how to paint, you left click and hold down and you start painting, or you move around in order to start painting over the subject. So just like that. I hope you can see how the skin is now getting to look nice, warm and even. But in cases whereby it is looking orange, like for our case in this tutorial, we have to fine tune this effect even better. And for cases whereby you're painting out of the subject layer or onto the outfit of the subject, I'll show you how you can easily correct or rectify that given area. So paint on every area that has skin in the image, just like that. So make sure you have painted every single area, and after painting on these particular areas in the image, it is time to fine tune the colors for areas whereby we have made a mistake. So get a razor tool, or you can press E on the keyboard, the mode is set to brush, opacity in the flat 100%, and you can erase the colors from the lipstick or other areas that have makeup, like the eyebrows or even the eyes themselves or even the eyeshadow. So right now this is okay. I'll scroll down to her outfit and eliminate it from this area of the model's outfit. By just doing this, you can see the image now looks okay, but the skin tone is too yellowish, or it looks very unnatural. So what are we going to do? We just want to fine tune the colors in the skin tone. So press Ctrl D, or you can use Command D to deselect the active selection. So this time around, we just want to work and perfect the skin color or skin tone. So just come the opacity and reduce on the opacity of the effect to around, I feel like 60 is okay for this kind of image, before, after. Then after that, just come and create a hue and saturation adjustment layer. Come to master, select the reds and simply come the lightness and take down the lightness to remove the reds from our subject's skin tone, or the oranges color, or the orange color. Then come to adjustments, create a black and white adjustment layer. Then come to normal and change it to multiply, and that is going to add more contrast into our model's skin tone, just like that. I feel like this is okay. Then we're going to come and create a selective color adjustment layer, because I feel like these colors are a little bit confusing regarding skin tone. So I'll come to the reds and simply play around with the cyan slider, just like this. So I'll simply take it towards the right hand side to eliminate the green tone eliminate the reds rather from the skin tone of the subject. Then we're going to come and create a blacks adjustment layer. Come to the cyans and take up the cyan slider towards the right hand side, and this is going to make the image cooler and more cinematic, before, after. And the blacks are going to be really looking great and awesome. So you can see before, after. So in case it is too much, remember to dial this back down until when you feel like it is looking natural. We are going to create a stamp visible layer by pressing Shift Option Command E on the keyboard, and come back to filter and come back to the camera raw filter. Remember, we just want to get skin tones, and we're going to scroll down to the color mixer and come to the luminance of the oranges and slightly darken the oranges to around -17 to have a better looking skin color or skin tone. Then now that the oranges are looking too much, come the oranges and slightly desaturate to around -8. Then come back to the highlights, slightly reduce on the highlights and also the whites, and you can even add more contrast into this very image and play around with the temperature slider a little bit around -1, before, after. Click OK. Then you're going to come and create a color balance adjustment layer to slightly balance the colors. So just come to the midtones, and you're just going to add a tiny bit of greens to our midtones to around 1, and come to our highlights. And for the highlights, I feel like we are going to play around with the cyans a little bit to around -1 and simply add a little bit of greens to our highlights. So you can even add magentas if you wish to. Yeah, depending on your image before, after. So after we have done this, the next step is going to be adding skin glow or skin shine. So create a curves adjustment layer. Rather, sorry about this. I meant to create a curves adjustment layer and simply come to the right hand pointer, drag this towards the right hand side until when you feel like the effects on the highlights are overexposed, then you right click on this layer and come to blending options. So you want to take the effect from affecting the other areas and only leave the highlights to be affected. So just come to blend it, make sure it is set to gray, come twice the underlying layer, left click and hold down and drag up this slider towards the right hand side until when you feel like the highlights on the skin tones are the only areas affected. Hold down the option key on the keyboard or hold down the alternate key on the keyboard and split this so that it can blend well or nicer into the model's skin. Just like that. Click OK. Press Ctrl I, or you can use Command I on the keyboard to invert the effect. Get the brush tool. Make sure you have black and white on these two color swatches. In case you have any other color from black and white, simply press D on the keyboard. So with white as the foreground color, you can switch between black and white by using this arrow key. So white is the top color. So you're simply going to come and only paint on the areas we feel should have this nice and beautiful glow on the model skin, and you can see how this transforms the overall look of this very photo or this very image. So you can see before, after, simple dodging and burning that anyone can do in Photoshop. So you can see before, after, the image no longer looks flat. So this time around, we're just going to do whitening of the eyes. So just come adjustments and create a hue and saturation adjustment layer. Take down the saturation to around -79. Then press Ctrl I, or you can use Command I on the keyboard to invert the effect. Zoom into the image by using Ctrl plus, or you can use Command plus on the keyboard. Reduce on the size of the brush. White as the foreground color. And simply paint in the white area of the model's eyes to whiten the eyes of our subject. So you can even do it for the teeth whitening, Command minus. So you can see how beautiful we have gotten the image to look in this case. So let me show the before and after before we can save this very image. This is the image before, after, before, after, before, after. So let's save this very image. Simply come to File, Export, and come to Export As. And it's going to bring back this Export As dialog box right here in Photoshop. The format is set to JPEG. Quality, make sure it is set the highest for your computer settings. Make sure your sample is set to bicubic sharper and scroll down to the color space. Make sure convert to sRGB and embed color profile are checked and click on export, and you can save or export the image in whatever location that you want and click on save. So this is how you can easily understand how to edit and color grade your photos when it comes to Photoshop. And in case you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like the video and don't forget to subscribe if at all you have been watching and you are not a subscriber to this channel. Ronnix from ronnixphotography. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in yet more videos on this channel. Don't forget, keep practicing and also keep creating.